So when I would use this oil called PanAway, I had been told it takes away all your aches and pains, or aches and pains or whatever. And Young Living can't call it PanAway because FDA, yada yada yada. That's not cool. But when I read up on it, it says it reduces inflammation, increases circulation, accelerates healing, relieves swelling, all this kind of stuff. I was a hairdresser for 100 years, and so my hands sometimes would feel painful, right, from cutting from this repetition motion. So I would put it on that thinking, all right, well, that's going to work. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And for a while, I would have like real bad back pain. I mean, again, as a hairdresser, standing on my feet, always wearing cute shoes, not the right shoes. Having all these children, being pregnant 100 times, or not 100 times, sorry, being pregnant 5 times to full term can put a toll on your body. And so my back would go out, it would hurt, and so I would use PanAway, like, okay, it's supposed to take away the pain because it has helichrysum, wintergreen clove, and peppermint. And sometimes I would use it and it didn't work. Have you ever had that? Where you use an oil and you're like, okay, now again, I'm feeling stupid because it's not working for me. And I thought, well, maybe it's me, maybe it's the oil, I don't know, maybe these are, again, back to placebo, maybe it's just a placebo effect. What I've learned is that actually pain can be trapped emotions in the body, which if you're me, 7 or 8, 9 years ago me, you're like, oh, I'm out, push stop, moving on. But hang on a sec. Our body will hold on to emotions if they're not dealt with in a way that your body enjoys. And I'll prove it to you. So if you're worried or nervous, typically we feel it here in our stomach. That's just emotions not being dealt with. We sort of internalize it. But if we can verbalize it and take deep breaths and we can say it out loud, this is why I'm nervous, this is what I'm thinking about, and we can have someone to dialogue with, all of a sudden we don't feel so nervous and sick in our bellies. We feel confident and strong, that kind of thing. The same is true if you've had stress, anxiety, whatever, all these different things. They can actually get lodged in places, thoughts are things, right? If I start thinking about something really difficult, I might start to get sweaty palms. You have this physical reaction. So they can start to get lodged in places in your body. And with my back, what I realized is that was just chronic tension, never dealt with. Even simple things of having a really scary boss when I worked in Santa Monica. Actually, no, that was when I worked for Redken. There was some scary people there. And so I was 20, 21. I didn't want to speak my mind. And so, you just hold tension and you stand, right? It kind of weakens your back as a hairdresser or whatever. The other thing is, as a hairdresser, I was always hunched over. And so any kind of stress would create tension in my posture. And so that's where I would hold the stress and the anger and the whatever, emotions. So when I went to use PanAway, when it was a situation like that, what I didn't know is I needed to use something that was going to help me with those emotions and sort of pinpoint why this is happening. The other side of that is my back wasn't strong and up to par because I hadn't worked out this area of my body, my core muscles, this area. So it's twofold. So putting an oil on top of a symptom didn't really help. It kind of lessened it a little bit, but it didn't seem to help. Now putting it on my hand, just chronic repetition, over time, yeah, it made it feel warm and it made it feel nice. So that was cool. But when it was something that was more tied to emotions, then I thought, okay, something needs to be done. But I did know back then what I know now about emotions, which is, every illness, every challenge, everything is from emotions. It just is. You can always pinpoint it to some extent way back when. With PanAway, I looked in the, helichrysum, wintergreen, clove, peppermint, thinking, okay, well, what if I used a concentrated form of one of those? So I think at one point we got wintergreen for free. And I'm going to tell you what, I used that by itself. And the potency of wintergreen was enough to actually dull that emotional feeling, right? Where the pain back here. And so then I thought, okay, so even if you have something that is brought on by something like an emotion or whatever, you're still going to have a physical manifestation. You still might need to lessen the pain as you work through it. Well, PanAway wasn't cutting it, but when I broke up the oils individually, it's like, okay, well, wintergreen helped. So then I would put on clove, and then I would use peppermint and helichrysum. So it was cool because once I knew the oils in here, sometimes they're blended up in a way that, yeah, I mean, it should work, but again, it's not. These aren't like Motrin and ibuprofen. Is that the same thing? You see what I'm saying, right? It's not like that. These are for individual. Everybody's different. It's like, what if I eat spinach? I'm going to feel differently than if you eat spinach. I don't like dairy. It doesn't do well with me, and so it makes me feel ways. You might like it, and it might make you feel energized. See, that our bodies are different, and so we have to remember that these oils are plants. And if I could process it logically, and I'm sitting with you, just you and I, and my giant jar of water, then I would say, okay, if you're using something like PanAway, maybe someone gave it to you, said, oh, you've got this issue, okay, you're going to use PanAway, it's going to feel better, yada, yada, and it hasn't, there could be a couple other factors. It's not the oil, because again, they're plants. We have to remember, plants in our body work differently for everybody's body. And if it's not working, then don't use it. I'd say that. Find something that does. Don't feel bad because it's not working. Maybe it's not responding to your body. Maybe there's deeper issues. And the other thing is, so with wintergreen, that is really good, what I've learned for bone. Maybe it's muscular. So now we got some other oils for muscle, right? Like majoram. Maybe peppermint's good. I have found PanAway to be great more for bone structure. Unfortunately, in our family, we've had ample opportunity to test the waters and see, okay, does this oil work better for muscles? Is this for bone? Is this ligaments? Is this joints? And we all respond differently, so you can play around with it. You know, I've heard Gary Young say, have fun with your oils, just play. I wish I'd heard him say that 9 years ago, because I was so thinking, oh, there's a certain way you have to do it, and I felt like there was like this key that was missing that I couldn't unlock it, so then I just gave up. I have that personality that if something gets too hard or gets too frustrating, I don't like feeling stupid. I think I've shared that with you before, so then I just stop and move along thinking, well, a more simpler, easier path will come. And it did. That simple, easier path was just me going one by one. So if you've had that experience with PanAway, take heart. Maybe you just need to break it up a little bit more. Maybe, using wintergreen, maybe helichrysum or clove, or maybe something completely different. And that's completely okay.